Hello, everybody. My name is Hellkaiser, and welcome to one of my favorite PS2 games, Gungrave. Some people probably have heard of this game, other people have not. I'll try to give a brief description of this game, and I will try my best to keep it brief. Trust me, there's not much to talk about. Uh, Gungrave was made by Red Entertainment. I don't know what their whole name was. Team Red, something like that. Their name's at the bottom. In 2002. Uh, these guys made quite a few hidden gems on the PS2. I can't remember what it's called, Norinabu or Osaku, something like that. Blood Will Tell. It's about this guy with all these prosthetic limbs, and I can't remember what the other one they made was. They made like two or three, and I played them all, and they're really good. But this is my personal favorite. Some of you may have seen the anime. Some of you may have played this. Some of you may have played the sequel. But this is one of, in my opinion, the greatest PS2 games. And I know that's controversial because of many different things, but to me, I'm one of those people, as I've grown older, even as a kid, I've never cared for super long games. Like I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII. I enjoyed the reboot. I've enjoyed certain long games throughout my life. But when it comes to stuff like, say, the Dark Souls series, for example, a very long game doesn't necessarily draw my interest. Stuff like Monster Hunter and all that, like the newer ones where it's just this little simple hunts and stuff like that, that's easier on your attention span and stuff like that. But I'm one of those people, I can't necessarily deal with super long games anymore. You know, unless it's like really, really good or the gameplay loop is really fun and it's not one of those things where it's just you're slamming your head into a brick wall. I can't enjoy it as much. Like the Pokemon games. Played a lot of them through the years. After a while, they just all become the same. But Arceus, I sunk 30-something hours in it, like almost 40 hours into the new Pokemon game, and I loved every minute of it. But to me, it was just because it was so fresh compared to the other Pokemon games. This game is sort of an antithesis to those kind of games. I don't know what its full price was on release. I think Gungrave Overdose, its sequel, sold for $15, $20, something like that. And it was about a 5 to 6 hour game. Gungrave, according to How Long to Beat, is beaten in under 2 hours. But, however, if you'll go over, I think it's, data, I beat the game in just shy of an hour, and I just did this playthrough over the last couple of days. About 2 30-minute sessions just to make sure it worked. I'm using the PCSX2 emulator. I do own a legal copy. I'm doing this through all the correct channels. I will explain a couple of the reasons why I'm using the emulator. Number one, I don't particularly like using the emulator. I like using emulators in my spare time. I love fiddling with them and getting them to work. I love using them to play stuff like Shadow Tower Abyss and Berserk. I think it's the Millennium Falcon or something like that. The one on the PS2 that wasn't translated. I like playing games that weren't meant to ever release here in America, like 1,000 Bullets and some of those other games, and playing them, and then Japanese translations. But Gungrave and its sequel both have some terrible FPS issues on PC. I'm sorry, on their original hardware. And I haven't tested Overdose yet. I've been meaning to play through it, and I might just save that and go do it on the channel. Gungrave plays beautifully on PC. I never once had a frame rate issue. I'm using the Open GL mode on the PCSX2. I've got everything cranked up 8 times internal resolution, trilinear filtering, all that good stuff on. So this is running at what would be like a 4K remaster by today's standards. Now, to summarize the game, and there's not much to summarize in an hour of gameplay, if you played the recent Guardians of the Galaxy game, you have somewhat of an idea. It's a linear third-person shooter, but it's almost like an arcade game. You stand in place, like a rail shooter almost, and just blow a hole in everything on God's green earth, and then move on to the next room. That's the definition of this game. It's a very simple, but absolutely amazing gameplay loop. I can't remember the man's name who created the characters and stuff, but he's the same guy who did Trigun. If you've ever seen that anime or read the manga, then you'll kind of get an idea of this game. You know, the angular, boxy kind of weapon design and his signature flair. Well, it's like if the Japanese made Desperado. He was heavily influenced by Desperado, the movie with Antonio Banderas, done by Robert Rodriguez. One of my favorite action movies. So this is one of my favorite games for a reason. Once you see it, if you've ever seen Desperado, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it, you'll immediately understand a lot of the similarities. This game is almost ripping it off in a lot of ways. Not necessarily as much on the plot, because it's got the Japanese plot, but the actual stylistic bits of it are just copied over brilliantly, and that's a compliment all the way through. It's like watching that scene where he's dancing on the bar, almost just shooting everything, but if the whole game was just that, and it's a brilliant little thing. This feels like the Japanese trying to copy a Quentin Tarantino movie in a lot of ways. Everything is written in a very sharp, quick style like that. If you're a fan of Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, you'll love this game. And to me, because it can be 1 hour is a bit too short, but the thing is, this game doesn't have a lot of gameplay systems. This is not something like Cyberpunk or Dark Souls or Deus Ex or any kind of RPG or anything like that where there's different builds and styles and alternate endings. It's a very straightforward game. It's like if you was playing Time Crisis or something. You'll enjoy it the first time you play it, or House of the Dead, but you don't want to sit there and play that game for 6-7 hours. And I think that they kind of understood that so well. It's one of those games. It's like playing Doom Eternal many years before Doom Eternal. It's this game that understands what it does. It's got that tune to just this perfect razor's edge, and it does it, and that's it. And then it's gone before you have time to miss it. And that's something beautiful that should be respected more nowadays. Like when, I know I'm going over on talking, but I'm trying to get my story out here. People were talking about, when I was reading about Dying Light 2 coming out, which I haven't played it yet, but everybody was talking about before it released that the developer said it's like a 50-hour game or something like that. And a lot of people were even saying then that you shouldn't brag about how long your game is. And I'm getting to that point myself. I mean, just when you hear stuff like that, that's a turnoff for me sometimes. I just want to play a game and have a good time. I don't want to feel like I'm having to have a massive time commitment anymore. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this game. We're probably going to finish it all in this one sitting. It's in Japanese. I don't think that they wanted to waste their time paying for a dub because they didn't think the game would do very well. Or maybe they just thought it sounded better in the Japanese. I think the voice work is very good. But leave that as you will. I won't be talking over it though. I mean, there's subtitles on the screen. You can... I think that letting the original voice actors do their lines is better than me trying to read and talk over them. You kind of got this like Blade Runner-esque opening here, you know, the way the city looks a little bit more, I guess you'd call it modern. I don't know, than a Quentin Tarantino film. Kind of a little bit Tim Burton-esque, maybe, is what I'd say. But I love the way it's styled and presented. It almost is like a bat or something crawling on the ceiling for some of the shots. Like I said, for 2002, this is a really, really good game. And the people who did these cutscenes would make the sequel. Unfortunately, Red didn't make the sequel, which I feel like makes up for some of the weaknesses of that game. But that's a story for the second game. See, very Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez styled with the way he flipped open the case and all that. I love the style of the guns. I haven't seen Trigun in years, but I always like the way that they design stuff like that. It's like Dante's Ebony and Ivory. I like those, you know, boxy, long guns that look really cool and stylized.
T でいい。
銃は母が銃をグレイブに。
安心しろ。銃は奴の元に戻った。
じゃあ組織を。
I love the way the story is presented. It's one of those stories.
最悪の亡霊を目覚めさせてしまった。組織の人間は一人残らず墓場行き。
It's one of those stories that reveals a lot about it as you go along, but it never shows enough that you know that you know everything. I can't remember everything about the sequel. It's been years. I played this one a lot more than I played the sequel. But to me, like, it's one of those things you can read into the story, and you can it leaves your mind fills in the blanks. And I love stories like that. I like things to be open-ended. Like, why are these two people looking at each other like this? Are they involved? Are they, do they have a history? What's the deal? And I like it when things don't just come out and tell us everything about it all. Now get ready to see one of my favorite bits of any game. You do nothing but just shoot mother effers in every direction. And that's it. That's the entire game right there. You have a health bar, and the blue bar underneath it's your shield. It takes a lot to destroy your shield. And you just blow up everything. I love how he flips around while he shoots and stuff too. It gives you a lot of really cool... I wish Dante in Devil May Cry would flip around like that when he shoots. See, it's a very simple... It's almost like Devil May Cry in some ways. It's got like this score meter, and for every like 20 points, your meter up there charges, which is almost like a DT gauge. I guess you could sum up this game with a sentence: Devil May Cry with guns and Robert Rodriguez. Also, if you hit down the button, you can do taunts. They serve no purpose, but they look cool. I like how he lumbers along, too. See, you don't move very quickly. You are like a dead man, where the name Grave comes from. You just move like in a snail's pace. But you can bullet dodge and stuff like that. But you don't have like a bullet time Max Payne style. But I can flip my coffin around and stuff like that. Man, that never gets old. See, that's the beauty of a 1-hour game, is you can go back and replay it, and you won't be bored of it. You could play it 3 times back to back, and I think you wouldn't get really fatigued. Pardon me. Coming through. Yeah, it's... You know how in Robert Rodriguez movies and stuff, the environments always get tore up? Well, the game rewards you for just blowing a hole in everything around you. So never stop shooting until you're sure everything in the environment's been completely wasted, and you'll get a higher score. Do I have my other... No. As you go through the levels, you unlock different moves for your demolition shots, which I'll show off when necessary. Just shoot everything in sight. I don't know how many demo shots you're actually allowed to keep on you, but I've never, hit a limit cap. Man, I love doing that. You have to hold down the button to sprint. This is my normal speed. So, like I said, Grave is not very quick. Hello. See what I mean? I love how the enemies just die very quickly. So if there's not a delay to anything, the pace of this game is determined entirely by the player, which is something I love. I hate it sometimes when games feel like the enemies are the ones controlling the pace and I'm just along for the ride. There we go. Almost at the end of the first level. There's only 6 levels in total. And they're all about 5 to 10 minutes long. And there's only one bad level in the bunch, and it's not even that bad of a level. That's why, to me, this is just... it's a perfect game distilled down to its core mechanics, and I wish that there was a little bit more to it at times. But again, in some ways, I really like it. And here's my demo shot. See, it's just remember the coffin from Desperado? That's what that is. It's just the coffin from Desperado, or not the coffin, but the guitar case. But instead for him, because he's dead, it's a coffin, which is just awesome. Everything in this game is just awesome. And just mow through everything. I haven't even taken any health damage because my shield is so strong it takes a lot to get to you and hurt you. There's also special moves to take out the what do you call them? The boss characters. Unfortunately, I don't think the pimp here has one because I've tried doing it before. And then you get scored based off of it. There we go. You got the bullet dance. Certain one, it's not like one is a direct upgrade to. Certain ones of your demolition shots do certain better damage to certain bosses and stuff like that. So you have different things you can do. After each mission, you get a chance to sit and talk to Mika and to Dr. T. They just say a few lines, but we'll go ahead and have them say it.
私、あなたに会ったことありますか？時岡から聞きました。あなたのこと。
See, what I like about the story is that, see, you're presented a few details here and there, but you're never presented enough details that you fully get the entire picture of the story. And, you know, to be just an hour-long game, you think that they'd be dumping exposition on you left and right. But they don't. They're very precise with the way that they tell the story, which is, again, brilliant. It feels like an old anime from, like, the 80s or 90s that you just didn't know about. Like, I love the Gunsmith Cats anime. If you've never seen that, you gotta watch it. You can find it on YouTube. It's 3 episodes. And you want more, but it just ends. And that's kind of the perfect way to do it. You want to end on a high note. You don't want your audience getting sick of you. I hope that song isn't copyrighted that's playing. They never exactly say what this seed stuff is. They keep it all very quiet. And again, I really like a lot of this stuff. I love how the story is. That's another Tarantino character, but that's before that movie ever came out. Okay, I think, yeah, he's out of things to say. Out of here before copyright. I love the loading screen panels, too. They look like they came from a manga. And as far as I know, this was an original game. The anime came after the second game came out, I believe, or just about the time the second game came out. And if there was a manga, I believe it was written afterwards. Kick their ass. Here we go. Just shoot a hole in everything. I love how you can also learn from this game. You learn to kind of keep rolling, because you do the fastest rate of fire when you're rolling. And so if you roll enough, you might be able to keep your combo or your beats extended just a little bit longer. And it's an artful skill, and it really is kind of cool trying to figure out and learn how to do all this. Okay, before we go on demo shot, switch it over to bullet dance. Not that I'm probably going to need to use it just yet, but just in case. You can just stand and literally just stand your ground and shoot, which is cool. I like how they make you so tanky that you're not afraid to do that. The game downright encourages you just to stand in place and wreck everybody else's day. But you might want to dodge those RPG guys. Not as definitive thing to do, but it's just a suggestion. And I love how the game just leaves it open to you. You can dodge if you want, or you can just stand in place and try your best to destroy everything on God's green earth. I love this game so much. Like I said, if you're one of those people that has too much to do and not a lot of free time anymore, this is just the game for you. It's not that difficult. Anybody can play it almost. I think the hardest the hardest points in the game definitely are the boss fights. The difficulty curve kind of comes up simply because of the fact that Grave moves like he's still in the coffin. And so because you're so slow and your turning speed, I have no camera. The camera turns with him. Everything's done with the left stick. That sometimes that can be somewhat problematic. I love doing that. Getting up here is a little annoying. You gotta hold down the button combination in a weird way. That's my only complaints in the whole game. Got my beats up a little bit. I just love the concept of just never stop moving, never stop shooting. I've seen indie games. I think it's called Severed Steel or something like that. I might be mistaken. Maybe some of you in the comments are. It's a recent game. Try to, give that Hollywood style fight scenes, like the running and gunning and stuff like that, almost like a John Woo movie and stuff. But very few games have ever been able to fully understand how to do it like that. There we go. These are the parts of the levels that are the worst, because the camera is so tight that you get crowded. And that's the only complaints. This and the sewer level up ahead are the two worst bits of the game. Because, see, you have a very tight camera on you at all times. And because you're shooting in a 360-degree range, it becomes kind of difficult. See how hard it is kind of to get him to lumber around these corners? It's a small complaint in a game as good as this. I mean, that's like arguing about something as, minor and like bigger games. Like, I used to love the Assassin's Creed series. 2 and 4 are my all-time favorites. I didn't care for when they turned into RPGs. I liked Odyssey because of the Greek mythology aspects, but I didn't like the RPG-ness of it. But they used to be just these short little games. Like I said, my favorites were the 2 trilogy and Black Flag and Rogue. But like when I tried to play Valhalla, Lord have mercy, that game was long. And it wasn't like a fun type of long. It was just long. And now they're doing that new expansion. I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but it's one of those games that feels like it just never ends. And to me, that's just not exactly how you should handle certain bits of difficulty and stuff like that. As I say, I know I can jump off that. Watch out for these shotgunners. They can do some damage. But I can do a lot more. I just love this so much. Oh, you're not dead yet. Don't worry, I'm coming to you. You kind of get a bonus for like killing everybody, so go ahead and do what you can. Some people say that the sequel, because of its added length and a couple of improvements here and there, is the superior game, but I disagree. For every good thing the sequel did, it felt like it brought on 2 or 3 bad things. If you've seen Civit's videos, I recommend watching both of his reviews on Gungrave. He words it a little bit better than I do, but between the lock-on being horrendous and the need to use the lock-on a lot more than in the original, because as you'll notice, I'm not locking on here. In the second game, you have to lock on. And the weird cutscenes, it's like the budget was gone for the second game. It has a lot of issues to it. Ouch. There we go. Everything in that general direction is gonna die. Hello. I still can't trigger the special cutscene for those guys, so it's only like the bigger bosses, apparently. I've tried that twice, and I can't get a special execution off. So we killed 100% of them, cleared that in 7 minutes. 100% life. We got the Hellhound Roar. That's good for taking on the bosses, but I prefer the basic one that we're using right now. Talk to Mika. She's got her bandages off quick.
ハリー・マクドウェルと会ったことがあります。まだ幼い頃、握手をした後、笑って頭を撫でてくれました。なんで彼は私たちを狙ったの？わからない。
I hope that song ain't copyrighted.
自分があの組織のビッグダディと言われた人の
I'm looking so forward to this. I'm sorry I'm talking over the voice acting, but I'm trying to help drown out that song playing. I hope that they've announced since like 2019 Gungrave Gore. See, like, that's a question that isn't ever fully answered in this game, and that's another thing I like. It's a little detail, but it adds to the story, you know, in a lot of ways. It's unique. Like, who is this girl? Why would her mother send her on a dangerous mission to give this guy a couple of guns, you know, and entrust her safety with him and stuff like that? And it leaves a lot of questions in your mind, can just fill in the gaps. Can you please turn off the radio, Doc?
組織とお前の戦いを多くの人間が固唾を飲んで見守っている。この町では最後の希望だとお前のことを噂しているぞ。しかし希望か。お前にこれほど似合わない言葉。
Graves not a bad guy. Anyway, like I said, in about 2019, Gungrave Gore was announced. I think we got a trailer last year for the game. It looks good. I hope it's good. There was those VR games, Gungrave VR and Gungrave VR Unite, or something UN, something like that. I hope that that they're good. I haven't played them yet. Maybe I will try to get them recorded. I do have a couple of VR helmets, but I don't know. I've never tried to record off of them, so I'll do my best. But I can't. But I can't guarantee I'll be able to play those, and I haven't. They're like $30, and I heard people say that they're both just a couple of hours long, which this game is, and I complimented it for that. But you know, maybe if I pick them up on sale. Okay, he's done talking. On to the next stage. This is what, stage 3 already? Like I said, you plow through them the longest stage is the last one, and it's only about 20 minutes. Take a sip of drink.
下のブロックから出発する飛行船フリドリヒで組織のパーティーがあるのね。新しいボスの顔見せで随分人が集まってるって話。 バカらしい話でヤクザ風情が偉そうに。私若い子。
And time to go kill some more people. Like I said, very simple premise. Excellent execution. You can't wait just to start the next level. You get this sickening smile almost. You know, it feels like you are this unstoppable killing machine. Which is something... Like, I've played the Terminator games on the PS2. I played the Terminator Resistance game, the new one that came out a couple of years ago. And you'd think, you know, a big Arnold Schwarzenegger robot, you know, designed to kill things and be unstoppable, would be an awesome power fantasy to write and an even more fun game character. But they've never been a good Terminator game. And why is that, really? Because they've never understood that this is what it just needs to be. You walking around, mowing down everything that gets in your path. There's something so great about just standing still in the middle of this area and just riddling the whole place with bullets, which is so fun. And because you're almost invincible, like I said, it plays into that power fantasy so well that so many games don't seem to be able to understand anymore. Nowadays, another Ubisoft reference, you know, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, by the time the game, you know, gets started proper and all that, you know, it feels like it's forever before you become powerful. Like, stealth is so heavily nerfed, it's not even worth really going in for stealth anymore. You're supposed to get in and fight, but now, even in combat, your health is weaker. Which, to be fair, none of the Assassin's Creed games have ever had great combat. But they don't seem to understand that there's something special about the early game's combat. Just walking up, standing there, kind of like you're practicing the Ido, and then waiting for an opponent to attack you, and then just counterattack and kill them. It makes you feel powerful. And it's something that most games seem to have lost. Everybody's going for like RPGs with 100 damage numbers over enemies' heads. Borderlands, Far Cry even does this now. Cyberpunk. All these games have done that, and they're all guilty of it. And sometimes it's fun just to one or two shots and then they're dead. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel sometimes. There's a reason the wheel hasn't changed. And that's it right there. Just spin it. How many times? I can at least speak for myself. I used to love playing Army as a kid. I had a lot of little Nerf guns and laser tags and stuff like that. And one of my favorite things to do just be to pretend like I was... Because I used to watch a lot of John Woo movies. My dad loved John Woo movies. So I'd see something like Hard Boiled or any of his other films, you know, with all the doves and all that. And I'd play that Stranglehold game, the sequel to Hard Boiled. And just love, you know, spinning in a circle, pretending like I was surrounded and mowing down everybody in my path. And then if you've ever played Army of Two, the back-to-back segments, you know, where you're standing beside your partner and just having to mow down an army of enemies, that was always just so cool as a kid. And this game just reminds me of that. Man, there's 3 RPG dudes here. 4! Just mow them all down. Good lord. You'd think they'd get the message by now. Oh, come on. Ow. Congratulations, you took some of my health away. See, I love how Grave is just completely tough enough to survive a bunch of head-on RPGs. Are you done yet? Now these guys can actually drain your shield a lot quicker, so you might want to be mildly concerned. See, even they had the briefcase guns in place of the guitar case gun, machine guns. I love the Desperado references. There we go. You know that old saying, if violence isn't the answer, that just means you're not using enough violence. There we go. Hail to the king, baby. This is the official first real boss fight of the game coming up. Okay, just leg it. Well, we can't really move very quickly. Maybe if he didn't carry a big coffin chained to his arms. See, it's not strapped on his back. He's got these big heavy chains and he's just wrapped them around his arms. Which is both eerie and cool, and also kind of dumb because you're just weighed down. I get that it's got a bunch of weapons in it, but you'd think that, you know, Lady in Devil May Cry, she runs around with a freaking bazooka tucked in somewhere. So you'd think he'd be able to run around, but I get that he's dead. Surprise. Hang on, I was taking a drink. I wasn't ready. Okay, I'm ready. Boom! Now this is the part, because these guys can drain your health a lot quicker, you actually got to be somewhat careful, and you want to try your best to always keep your fire on your opponents, because they zip around a lot more, which is, again, really fun idea that they're always going around you, and do your best to shoot everything in sight. Just never stop shooting until you're sure that everything in the room is dead. You got infinite ammo, so don't ever worry about it. You can even shoot the light bulbs out. I'm pretty sure I destroyed that table. That's all the upcoming bosses.
死人め、レースら棺に置き忘れてきたと見えるな。
まあ、待ちなよ、文治。グレイブ、あんたも組織の一員だったんだろう？一宿一般の恩どころじゃないはずだ。それを忘れて幹部様たちに銃を向けちゃうなんて。やりてえならかかってこい！腹ごなしに遊んでやる！
Looks like you need to take a diet pill, fat man. Okay, Kingpin, let's go. Okay, I'm taking a little bit of health damage. Oh crap. Okay, boss is dead. See, that's where it gets a little difficult, because there's just a bunch of dudes firing on you at any given point in time. But anytime you die, you start right back before the boss fight with your health back and an extra charge of your demolition shots. So the only thing that happens is your score goes to 0. Yeah, don't think that Kingpin is down yet. He's back. They don't exactly say how this works. And again, it's one of those things that's left up to the player to understand why the fat man came back even fatter. But I don't think you're supposed to know, and it adds to the Japanese flair of the game. It had to have something to make it. Honestly, this seems like something Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez would have thought up too. You don't deal as fast the damage when you're locked on, so just keep that in mind. Try your best to always stay unlocked unless you really just need to recenter yourself. You deal the most damage when you're doing what I'm doing, or not the most damage, but the highest rate of fire when you do what I was doing right there. I didn't get the execution shot off, that's unfortunate. I've done it on all the bosses except for the first 3. We didn't get all the kills, that's not good. We got Raging Inferno, which is the best of the kill shots just for normal use. I wish that radio would stay off for once. Yeah, the game implies that there's some sort of like supernatural, well clearly because your guy's dead and brought back, like sci-fi, science fiction sort of thing. I don't exactly know what it is. Like I said, the plot has got these holes in it. They're not holes, you know, they're like just little bits of just blankness for you to fill in. And I like it because it's one of those things, I don't need to know everything about this game. And in an hour-long game, if they filled a lot of this extra bit with dialogue, it would just make you want to just skip it. There's enough dialogue here that it gives you an image of like what's to come, but it never forces you to just keep on watching and watching. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end this video here. I'd rather just make this into 2 parts and not go over. Because we're only on stage 4 and we got 3 more to go. Since I talked for about 10 minutes, I mean, that kind of put us behind. Plus, you know, I don't like to do super long videos unless I feel like it's one of those series that requires it. I like to do no more than an hour, but if a game is under an hour long, I might as well break it down into 2. Is he done talking yet? No. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. I will be playing through Overdose, like I said. It's not my personal favorite sequel, but it is a good game. Like I said, this one just seemed to be the better one. We are going to play a couple of old PS2 games. That's the era of gaming I really grew up on. I played a couple of N64 games and PS1 games for that, and I played a lot of early PC games. But, 2005 is when I got my first Xbox, when I was about 5, and then I got my PS2 about a year later, 2 years later, something like that. Just about the end of both of those systems' lifespans, but I ended up playing through most of their libraries. And a lot of those games are fun to play for nostalgia and maybe fun to play through on your own. Like I like that Ghost Hunter game and a few others. But there are some that's either good to point out because of their strangeness, they're surprisingly, the fact that they still hold up really well, stuff like The Suffering and some of the Silent Hill games and this game. And then, some of them, are going to get a remaster or a remake, and in some cases it's better to play them. But anyway, hope you guys will enjoy this series. Hope you guys will enjoy a lot more of the PS2 games to come. If you want a little taste of what will be coming up after Gungrave Overdose, we'll probably be playing Ghost Rider, or maybe both of them at the same time. It's a little Devil May Cry style movie tie-in game, and then I'll think of some others from there. Maybe the Nightmare Before Christmas game, because it was very Devil May Cry-ish. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening.